And it was 6 days ago, on May 8th, 2025, that I graduated from university. This is my graduation cap that I wore at my commencement and my graduation. I'm going to let y'all read this while I read my poem, Shifting Tides, to do my testosterone voice update. An inlet of rock and sand by the sea, it is I that you see. For many years the waves lapped against me. I shifted to greet them from time to time, but in others I was shy, hiding my coast. They were an expected presence, a constant in my youth. Slowly, though, I grew tentative of them. I asked the tide, why scrape at me? She answered, nothing has changed. Surely something did, for now I feel pain. The waves grew taller all the same. In high tide I reshaped my front, while in low I was left to deliberate, where allies brought to my tidal gates. Investigating a smooth shell one day, I thought he looked rather plain, but then a friendly claw turned him over, revealing rainbow swirls and tear-streaked truth. I was too quick to blame the tide, too naive to behold the moon. A cove is always changing shape, forming a haven in each wake. An inlet of rock and sand by the sea, it is I that you see. Over a month ago was my 1.5 year testosterone. Oh my gosh. 1.5 year mark for being on testosterone. And my more than 4 year mark, 3.5 to 4 year mark of transitioning. I wanted to do a video at the time, but I was very, very busy. And by the time I did have the ability to film this video, I felt it was too late. And so I sat down and I thought about what I wanted to do. And I felt it made most sense to do this video after I graduate college, because I began my transition pretty much as soon as I got to college. Because as soon as I got to college is when I determined I would start using any all pronouns. Which wasn't due to thinking I was trans, but because people were calling me multiple pronouns because my hair was this short and I dressed genuinely masculine. And so I started going by any all pronouns because that's what people called me anyway. But I feel that was one of the first steps that began the overall journey. Even if I came out to myself as trans that September/October, the change in pronouns kind of started beginning at the very beginning of college. And here we are at the very end of college, have my degree now, 4 years later, and a lot has changed. I have changed a lot fundamentally as a person. Part of my, just giving a little bit more context, part of why I began transitioning medically my junior year of college. My junior year of college. I had to think about it. Part of why I began transitioning medically my junior year of college was because I wanted the effects to take place before I graduated, for when I took graduation pictures. I don't have any pictures to share yet. I'm thinking maybe I'll include that in the 2-year video, and I'll also include some younger pictures of me as well for the 2-year video. But that is why I felt graduation is a very substantial moment for me, because this is one of the moments that I decided to start medically transitioning for. I wanted to have facial hair and these things for my graduation pictures, but also for going into industry and moving onward with my life. And I am so happy with that decision. I wouldn't say it was necessary for me. Some other people have a lot more serious dysphoria than me, and I'll be very forward about that. I didn't have like debilitating dysphoria. I could have somewhat comfortably lived without medical transition, but I can also equally say I am so happy with my medical transition. I am so much more comfortable. My personality and attitude have to some degree changed out of confidence. due to confidence, because I feel more like myself than I have ever felt before. And the more I continue my transition, the more I am able to really become me. And that has been an absolutely, absolutely amazing feeling. Just like the 1 year video, I'm going to talk about the overall changes I have had over the last year and a half, because I haven't necessarily documented any particular changes that have happened last half a year, excuse me, since the 1 year video. But talking about like overall changes and my contentment or annoyance with those changes. I believe the first two I talked about in the 1 year video were voice changes and facial hair. And I would stand by those two being two of the most significant for me personally. My voice has changed. My roommates and I, my previous roommates, I've moved because I graduated. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But my previous roommates and I would randomly listen to old videos of me to remind ourselves of the voice I had when I first met them, pre-medical transition. And it has changed. It's a little scary to hear because it's so high pitched. It almost sounds like a teenager, like a teenage girl, not like an 18-year-old or like 19 or 20-year-old, but like a teenage girl, at least to my ears. And so it's really crazy to hear how much it has changed. But at the same time, it's still fundamentally my voice. And I think that's something I was very concerned about or curious about pre-medical transition. For this whole video, when I say transition, I probably mean medical transition. Again, I had a 2 year gap between transition in general and medical transition. But something I wondered pre-medical transition is if my voice would still fundamentally sound like me. If the change of the tone in my voice would change how I talk and change how I generally sound. But I think that, fascinatingly, it's still the same voice. It's just someone took a little volume slider and like a tone slider and toned it down. I think it's been very, very interesting to see and hear. And going through all the videos where I do my reading, which I did at the beginning of this video, it's very interesting to hear like how the inflections and like certain words sound different, but some words sound the same. And I'm still capable of going higher. I don't often because it is a little bit strenuous on my voice to do it, at least for now. I hear that goes away with more time. But I can still go higher and I can still go lower if for some reason I just want to be a very deep voice that day. Sometimes if a guy holds the door open for me, I'll be like, thanks. It's kind of unnecessary, but I still have some flexibility with my voice, and so if I'm feeling more comfortable with higher pitch that day, I can be higher pitch. But I have a capability of going lower than I could be pre-medical transition, and I am very happy with that. I feel a lot more in my voice. I don't know if that wording makes sense, but I feel a lot more comfortable with my voice now than ever before, by far. I hear my previous voice, and I look back at my previous voice, and I was not comfortable with it before, and I'm especially not comfortable with it now, because to me, this is my voice now, and I'm very, very happy with this voice. It's a little hard to sing sometimes, but there's some songs I can sing that I couldn't sing before. So it's interesting how the vocal range has changed as well. So one caveat to the vocal changes that's been a little annoying has been my voice cutting off at certain volumes or at certain pitches. I can't cheer at events. I still can't cheer at events. This has been going on for a while, but my voice just cuts off. I can't. The best I can do is woo. But if I try to go any like louder than that, it cuts off. It's like a voice crack. That's not a long-term thing. That's a puberty 2.0 thing, which is really what starting testosterone is. But I believe in the long term that will go away and I'll be able to raise my voice again. But at least for the meantime, every time I've gone to like a concert or some kind of event, I can't really cheer. So usually I keep like a flat mouth and I like clap. Um, Sometimes it's a little awkward, I'll be honest, but I want to like show my support without like being the awkward voice crack in the audience, you know. I think another thing, somewhat related to voice but kind of not, is I have started snoring. According to my roommate, who shares a room with me before I moved, um, I did not snore last year, but this last school year, since August, I have been snoring. And in general, my throat feels more full. I will put a disclaimer here that that might not be a testosterone thing because I do have a few other things going on medically. Um, so, little asterisk there. That might just be me. Um, but in general, my throat feels more full, and I've started snoring. And it's possible those two things are related. It's possible those two things aren't related. Be very transparent about that. I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of a mystery. I have talked to doctors about it. It's kind of a mystery. But I think those are the two main caveats I have. The voice cracks is very difficult to cheer, and snoring. I kind of wish I didn't snore. I feel bad for my poor roommate who wears earplugs. Sorry. The second one that was previously mentioned was facial hair. I have been so happy to have facial hair. It is very patchy. It's definitely testosterone 2.0, but it has been coming in more and more. And I shave it every once in a while. It's still patchy. You can see very definitively. There's these white lines on the underside. I don't know what is with that. There's just some spots where it just doesn't grow in. But on most of the line down, it does. I shaved 2 weeks ago. I shaved 2 weeks ago. And so this is after 2 weeks. I will say that I fidget a lot, and it's been very hard for me to try to minimize fidgeting with my facial hair because of acne. The more you mess with your face, the more acne you're going to have. I've always struggled with acne because I fidget a lot. Um, so it's been a work in progress for me. That's something I need to learn is to stop causing acne and to treat my face better and exfoliate and all these other things. There's a lot of areas for me to learn regarding those. And before I was very distracted with school that I wouldn't bother with those things, but now is the time to learn and start doing those. So that is the main caveat I have to facial hair. But overall, I love it. I feel a lot better with my facial hair. I think sometimes it looks silly. I think it looks a little silly now. But at the same time, I think the baby face also looks silly. Um, so usually I leave it for a while and then I'm like, it's a little bit too much. And then I cut it off. But I keep going back and forth on it. But so far, given it's been a year and a half, I feel pretty content with the amount that has grown. And I am holding out hope that it's going to keep growing as I continue taking testosterone. A third change that I have been very content with overall has been body hair. I know a lot of people dislike growing body hair. I've definitely heard of other trans men complain a lot about body hair growth. I've been very comfortable with it. I think I've said this before, but I was pretty hairy beforehand. I had body hair on my stomach and on my thighs before I started testosterone, so it wasn't really a new thing. There's just more now, and it's a bit longer. It didn't grow as long as it does now before. I sometimes like take scissors to some of it because it's a little bit too long. I still want the body hair there, but I don't want it to be like super long. So sometimes I trim it a little bit, but overall, I've been very content with the body hair, and even body hair growing in places that shall not be mentioned. It really doesn't bother me. it bothers a lot of other people, and a lot of people warned me like, "Oh no, you're gonna get body hair in like these forbidden places." I haven't really noticed. I mean, like it's happened. I won't deny that like it hasn't happened. It has happened, but I don't care. It hasn't registered to me. So that's something that's a little bit different for me. Um, there's not really been anything with the body hair that's really bothered me, except for when it gets too long and then I cut it down. But I feel that's like kind of a normal thing. I mean, you kind of do that with hair here anyway. So overall, very happy with body hair. I have nothing, no complaints, no complaints at all. And I'd say it's more affirming to me. It's such a minor thing. I do like. I kind of sometimes miss having hairless legs, and I've thought about going back a few times, but at the same time, it takes so much effort. And there's that awkward period. There's that like awkward length where it hurts, and I don't really want to deal with the awkward length where it hurts, so I kind of just leave it. Um, So, there's some times where I feel like I want to go back to no hair, but usually that's like a very temporary feeling. Overall, I enjoy having the body hair. So, yeah, that's another big one. What else is there? I think the acne is a big caveat. As I said before, I really struggle with acne. I've always since puberty 1, had shoulder acne, and I've been fighting to get rid of that for years and years and years, and we're still not there yet, though we're at the best I have ever been. I think starting testosterone definitely worsened it for a while, especially since I am applying testosterone in this region, and I'm getting a lot more sweat in general, which is another caveat to testosterone, as you start sweating, because again, it's puberty 2.0. Um, but it is the best it has ever been, and it is a me problem. It's not necessarily testosterone being at fault, but it's me being bad at handling acne that is the reason why it keeps persisting. And also just I have a acne driven body. It's very easy for my body to get acne, and I don't take care of it. So again, it really falls on me on that part. Another thing that is unfortunate about testosterone that I am bad with is working out. I know many other trans masks are very comfortable working out and like working out. I still don't have comfort with the gym, and there's two reasons for that. One, gender. Um, I I've just never been comfortable in the gym. When I am in a gym space, my brain reverts to I'm a woman, and that discomfort is much greater than actually like gender dysphoria. It's more so like I don't fit in here is the feeling I get. So it's very hard for me to do that. So I'll work out at home, but working out at home is also difficult. And I think pain is one of the big things. Because I didn't work out for a long period, I started getting like shin pain, which is my fault. I should have been working out more, to give my body some practice with the weight I have gained. I don't see the weight gain as a negative thing. I'm actually very content with the weight gain, but my body still needs to know how to handle that weight gain and how to move the muscles in new ways. So, I really, because of that pain, sometimes I put off working out because I don't want to feel that pain going into classes the next day and, other things. So, sometimes I've been irresponsible with working out. Sometimes I've been able to work out somewhat consistently. It kind of comes and goes, but it is something I am dedicating to work on in the future now that I have graduated college and I can focus more of my time into things that I postponed in college. And I think working out consistently is one of those things. Again, many other trans masc people are very fine with it. I have always struggled with it. So I think that's another thing I sometimes struggle with, but it should be resolved in the future if I take more care of my body. The body is a temple. Then I had a thought, and then now it left. Oh no. What was the thought? That kind of leads into muscle growth. I realize I kind of skipped over muscle growth. It is substantial. I have been very surprised. I've been very surprised how different it is. Even without working out, I can lift things that I could not lift before without even working out my arms. It's just naturally I can just lift things casually now that I again would have taken a lot of effort before. I have always been really weak in my arms. Really, really weak in my arms. I had legs, but not arms. Um, but now I just, to some degree, have natural arm strength that was much higher than what I had before. So it's been very interesting, like experiencing that and just casually lifting things that I would not have been able to lift before starting testosterone. So there is a muscular difference, and it's very fascinating to see and experience. I wouldn't say it changes much in my day to day. It didn't really change me in rock climbing because I'm still weak in the arms and I still really rely on my foot technique. That's the kind of climber I am in rock climbing. And so not much really changed in that regard, but it's still noticeable at certain times when I'm like picking up a table or when I was moving all these books because books are really heavy. Um, I would say it has been a noticeable change. I don't have any complaints with that either. It wasn't something I was seeking out, honestly. I would have been content if that didn't happen, but I'll take it. Again, I have nothing against such a change. A minor thing is I gained the tiniest bit of height. Um, my roommate and I were the exact same height before. We measured before, and I think what happened is my feet got a little thicker. Um, like again, we're talking about like a very small amount, but a little thicker, and now I'm a little bit taller than my roommate. Um, it's not that like testosterone like grows your height, but like certain parts of your body like gain more fat or more thickness, and so I think that was the cause of that little tiny change. Um, Clothes has been a very big deal. Clothes bring in a lot of my gender comfort or gender euphoria, the few times I feel gender euphoria, and my waistband has grown. And again, it's partially not working out, and it's partially diet and stress. I think stress is a big part, especially with college. It's hard to eat consistently in college for me. Um, I get really stressed. So, the waistband has changed, and it's been hard to fit certain clothes. And it's really hard to find that balance shopping men's and women's because either you're binding or you're not binding, and different clothes don't account for binding or for weird combinations of shapes where you have a very thick waistband because you have hips, but you also have short, like, length because you're shorter than the average man by quite a bit. Um, it's definitely been interesting shopping, and I wish there were a lot more options out there. Um, so it's been hard to consistently get clothes to fit, and I found myself wearing shorts more and more because it's hard to find pants that fit. Um, I'm about to do my next shopping spree, so I think whenever I do my next video, I'll reflect on things I've learned with this round of shopping for clothes. I think I'm going to go even bigger this time. I've started getting large or extra large shirts, depending on if it's like women's, men's. Um, but I started getting extra large shirts because I find most of my shirts shrink over time, and I'm always comfortable with extra. I'm not comfortable with tight, and so I started going bigger and bigger just so it's looser and looser. I haven't really binded much. I've binded for formal meetings, but I've not binded much since last summer because I over binded last summer and it hurt for quite a while, and that was my fault. Again, my doing, my responsibility. Um, so, since then, I've been binding a lot less, but I will say that testosterone has initiated so many changes that I am comfortable with my gender without binding. Even in public spaces, like my classes and projects and work meetings, I have been fairly comfortable without binding my chest. And I have a lot of shirts like this where it's not as evident. It's not as evident. I mean, it's still there, but it's not too bad, personally. Um, so that's part of why I like looser shirts. If it was super tight, it would really bother me. But yeah, it's been very difficult, I will say, because how my body's changed shape with testosterone, gaining weight, and muscle, both of those things. I guess muscle is weight. It has been difficult to find a bra that fits. Because bras are shaped for women. And it's a little wide now. I think that's the thing I felt, is that I feel it's too stretched out to the sides, and so it's hard to get to fit forward and backward. So I'm struggling more and more to get things to fit, and it's something I'm working on and I'm learning to do. I know there are options out there, and I've just not found them yet. That is my personal take. Because I don't like spending money, especially on clothes, because I think clothes are expensive. So it's a work in progress. Not a testosterone related thing, but I just want to comment that my hair is one of my big euphoria things. I usually let it grow out a bit, and it starts to bother me, and then I cut it short again. Um, I think a lot of my gender identity in passing comes down to hair, voice, and the facial hair. So, those things, again, make me very content to be comfortable to go around without binding and without the bra at times. Sometimes it depends on the day, but in general, I felt more and more comfortable. Any other changes we would like to discuss? Oh, we have changes we'd like to discuss. Bottom growth. Don't forget bottom growth. That has been really interesting. I was fascinated by it before testosterone because I watched educational videos on it. It has been very interesting. At first, I thought I wouldn't get it because I heard of other people who didn't get it, but it has been very noticeable. I don't know when it started because I felt like it wasn't there and then it was there. I don't know why I didn't notice the transition period, I guess, but at some point it was there, and it hasn't grown much since then. I'll be very blunt about that. It hasn't grown much more, but it's definitely there. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable because it is a bit exposed. Um, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So sometimes you really have to like adjust how you sit or like various other things. But overall, I kind of like it. I don't want to be like weird about it, but I feel less dysphoria with my. I feel less bottom dysphoria as a result of the bottom growth. And bottom dysphoria was one of the worst dysphorias I had. Facial dysphoria and bottom dysphoria were two of the worst I had. And both of those have been really resolved with taking testosterone. So I've been very, very happy with those changes. I previously talked about libido changes. I really could not tell you if it was testosterone or not, looking back. It might have just been circumstances of the time, or even just a loose illusionary. Is that a word? Illusionary. It might have been an illusion that I was feeling at the time because of people around me or other things. It's really, I've always really struggled identifying sexuality. I still really do. I really don't know what my sexuality is. It goes back and forth all the time, and so I can never really tell. I think other trans men talk about it a lot more than me, and it seems a lot more significant to them. So I feel it's safer to say that I don't really feel that. I think other people do, but I wouldn't say that I do. It's not something I notice. I don't think. But it's kind of hard. It really is hard to tell, so who knows? Are there any other changes people can think of that I can think of? I wouldn't say I have any major changes in attitude. Um, I think most of my changes of attitude are because of my friends around me or my roommates around me. But I wouldn't say I get angry. I still fundamentally try to avoid anger. just because I'm very uncomfortable with anger, and that's due to other things going on previously in my life. Um, so some people say they feel more anger. I don't really feel that. Some people have like receding hairline, not like immediate receding hairline, but their hairline moves a little bit to be a more masculine hairline. I wouldn't say I've noticed that, but maybe it did. I don't know. I felt like I always had a somewhat large forehead, so it's a little hard for me to tell, honestly. Um, but I don't have like hair falling out or anything. And I wouldn't say the texture of my hair has changed. I know some other people who started getting curly hair when they started testosterone. I did not end up being that way. My hair does get a little wavy when I live in a humid environment, but I don't live in a humid environment currently, so it's not very noticeable. But in the past, when I've lived by the ocean, my hair does get a little wavy. Not like curly, but like a little wavy. But I've not noticed that with testosterone. And I'm struggling to think of anything else. I feel like that's a lot of the major stuff. Talked about snoring. Talked about the voice cutting off. Overall, I've been passing a decent amount of the time. I will say that finding gender neutral bathrooms can be frustrating sometimes. I've been avoiding gender bathrooms just in general because I don't feel I fit in either. I it's been very interesting, and I've gotten into some arguments about it with some people. Um, Ironically, it's queer people that are arguing with me about what bathroom I should be in, which has been interesting, a little unexpected. Um, so in general, I've been hunting down for gender neutral bathrooms or just avoiding going to the bathroom at all and holding it in, which you're not supposed to do. Do not hold in. It's not good for you. With that said, though, because I'm a hypocrite, I try to hold it in until I can have a gender neutral space or until I'm home. Um, Usually, I try to time it times I am home with times that I can use the gender neutral bathroom. But yeah, anything else? Something I did talk about is I eat more. I forgot about that because that was very early on in my transition. I started eating more. I'm still eating a lot more than I ate before my transition. I still only eat 2 meals a day, which is a me thing. I don't feel good if I eat in the morning, which is really bad because that's the best meal of the day is to get breakfast. But I just don't like breakfast. So I usually have a large lunch a little bit earlier, and then I have a big dinner. And the big dinner gets me to the next lunch. Um, and I definitely eat more than I used to. I don't snack anymore because I don't really like snacking. That's just a me thing. But I will make big dinners. I usually cook for my roommates, and I'll usually get like 2 servings, while my roommates get one. So that has been a noticeable thing is a change in appetite. I eat a lot more. It makes sense because I have more to feed because I am bigger now. But there's kind of a caveat to it because it's a little bit more expensive to eat more, and also you gotta watch your diet in a new way. But at the same time, I don't see it as too negative. My doctor doesn't see it as too negative. I've told her about it. She insists that I start breakfast, and she's right. But that's more so the issue rather than the amount of food I'm eating. I would say that's all the effects I can think of. Overall, I am very, 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 very happy with my decision. I am so much happier, and I think I said earlier in the video that I have a confidence and happiness that I've never had before. Um, I have I would have no hesitation to start this again, and I would start it earlier. I did take the time. I took 2 years to really make my decision and really confirm that I identify as a trans man before I started medical transition. And I am glad I took those 2 years, but I also realized that I could have started earlier, and I would have been happy starting earlier too. I think both of those are acceptable realities to have at the same time. But began my medical transition over a year and a half ago now, and a lot of the changes have kicked in before my graduation. I wouldn't say the graduation pictures look great, but that's mostly because these caps look a bit silly. That's kind of just how it goes. But I think I'll be happy to look back at this time of my life and see where I was at during this transition period. So, very happy. Very, like, I really hope. I know I'm tired because it's 2 a.m. when I'm filming this. Don't judge me. Um, I know I'm tired, so maybe the enthusiasm isn't coming through too much, but I am so happy with my identity. The few times I have any issue with my identity is mostly gender dysphoria. It's sometimes, very rarely for me nowadays, but sometimes the chest bothering me or not being able to use certain gendered bathrooms because I just don't feel it's enough. Um, but those are the real things that can bother me at all anymore. The things that, while I only got dysphoria occasionally before medically transitioning, I haven't had any of those since then. The bottom dysphoria has been very minimal. The facial hair phantom sensations hasn't been there. It it's I feel so much better. I can still get the occasional gender envy, but I feel it's a lot more of like a humor based thing now, if that makes sense. Perhaps you may relate to that, um, versus being something that like hurts to think about. It's more so something I can joke about and accept because I have these other things that make me comfortable, that I can recognize I don't need every single thing yet. I am transitioning to the future in this video. I am considering top surgery. I'm going to start looking into it. There's a lot of uncertainty with my future right now. I'm currently continuing my work. I am planning to do grad school. So this is kind of a temporary graduation, to be honest, because I am going into graduate school. And I will be busy with graduate school as well. I'm not sure where I'll be living or what I'll be doing. It's, again, very hard to predict the future right now, especially with certain things going on that will remain unsaid on this channel. So I don't know when top surgery will be, but it is something on my mind. It is something I want to do very definitively. Now that I haven't been binding for quite a while, my chest is what bothers me most. And while I have a bunch of solutions where I wear these loose shirts or wear these overlayers, or I just don't think about it, I'm really good at not thinking about it. It's something I want to get rid of. And since the healing process is so long, I want to do it earlier, so I have the time to heal, especially with younger years when I have more free time now than I will in the future, as I can predict at least. So I'm looking into it. I'm not saying that it's going to be like super soon. I'd say like a year to 2 to 3 years, but it's something I want to do and will be looking into. I will for now be moving again. The place I'm moving won't have like a good filming spot, so we'll see how often I film. I'm gonna have the same issue as my book channel as well. So not sure what will be going on there. I will not be participating in Pride this year, for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to be visiting my friends now that I've graduated college instead. I might participate in the Colorado Pride. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll not be part of my city's Pride, so I won't have a Pride video. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I think the 2-year video will be a very substantial video. That's very definitively going to be on this channel. But I don't know much else of what to talk about. I can't really update on sexuality because I am still so lost as to my sexuality. It's a constant. I feel like I'm juggling, honestly. Um, so that's always ongoing. I thought about jokingly making like a Baldur's Gate 3 video because that was very fruity, but that felt very not serious for a channel that's mostly been educational so far. So we'll see. I don't quite know what to do. When I find out more about top surgery, I'll probably do a video on like pre-top surgery research, because I feel a lot of people do their top surgery videos after they get top surgery, and I'm very curious to know a person's opinion before and then compare it to after, you know? So, yeah, that's all I have for today. I will see you all whenever I see you in the future. I wish I could give a more definitive date, but I don't quite know. And thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It has been a time, 4 years in fact, which is crazy. It's quite a long time. Um, and I'm very, very happy to continue doing this in the future. Bye bye.